The themes that I use to work mostly in my practice is about decay, death, rituals, and this has been running a lot in my works, and I found quite similar subjects and topics also in Joseph Beuys' works. And this is the kind of connection I want to base my research and also to find out how I could find a connection with the things I found in the archive, the libraries, and also I'm also happy because even I thought I knew about boys, but coming to these residencies that I noticed a new information. For example, having a conversation with Johannes Stupin, who was once a student of boys, and also Angie, who is also like an art historian who also wrote about boys and other important artists. So it's a pleasure to be in Bedbug, which is also not far from Cliff, where boys grew up. And so this has given me, drawn me closer to find a best source and connection to develop my work.
I'm Sandra Johnson, I'm from Northern Ireland, and I'm here working with the Beuys Archive and the Marina Abramović Institute. So this month here I've been working between documents in the archives and drawings in the collection. Many of the drawings relate to trauma and relate to also maybe I would say the unconscious, and as an artist from Northern Ireland I've worked a lot with trauma in the past and coming, society working its way through conflict into a state of aftermath, if such a thing exists. It's very emotional, and performance is a state of deep, often deep vulnerability. You can also be very powerful when you perform, but there is a level of sharing and interaction and a movement between the inner and outer self, and maybe the fact that that happens in these contracts in time with the audience means that sometimes you're extraordinarily open in front of the audience, and there's responsibility involved in that. That's why I would call it like a contract. So these long durational performances that we will make in July really draw, you have to draw very deeply from inside, from within.
I'm Francesco. I come from literature and music studies, and I ended up doing performance, long durational performance. I'm very excited to be part of this huge project. I actually knew about Beuys' work because I'm based in Germany and he's a big name, but I discovered his work through Marina Abramović. It's also very surprising how different approaches people here in the group of artists have to Beuys. We did a meeting a couple of days ago and updated each other what we are working on or what we discovered. And each of us found a personal approach, a very different field of interests that connects, relates to Beuys, but it's still so personal and so different. I'm really open, and right now I still don't know in which direction my performance will go, because every day I'm discovering something new. Right now, like the 2 last days, I'm working and reading about breath and speech, language, as a mean of expression, and we are watching all together. Actually, after dinner, we're doing a film night, and we are putting on a projector Beuys performances and watching them like a film. We only miss popcorns actually, but yeah, it's a very nice source of inspiration, and we discuss them. Also in these videos, I'm finding some inspiration, the way he uses his voice and the breathing.
One of my first trip outside of Yugoslavia was in 1971, and this was the time that with a group of artists from Student Cultural Center from Belgrade, we made this kind of legendary trip to Edinburgh, invited for the Richard DeMarco to be the part of Edinburgh Festival. And also Joseph Beuys understood at the time was his first trip outside of Germany, and this is the time where I actually met him. And it was really interesting to see that very mysterious figure coming into the space where we was sitting at the table with the long coat and his legendary head and also this vest that he had always everything in that he needed. And it was really different than anybody else I ever met. There was certain charisma around him, and at the same time also extreme amount of gentleness. And you don't know if you wanted to be afraid of him, or you like him immediately, or you be too shy even to talk. But this all later came to somehow to be much more clear when we really personally met him. But the first impression was mysterious figure in the long coat and hat.
I'm Michelle Samba, Slots Moyland and the Marina Abramović Institute and Marina Abramović and the Joseph Beuys Archive decided to curate some artists, and I am one of the artists, and I will make some work inspired by Joseph and also Marina. And it's been very interesting. Like, I found a lot of things in the archive, and there was a lot of talks about people that knew Joseph Beuys, and Marina talked, and I got to know the other artists. And it's so wonderful. We have very good conversations, and it's also very nice. We lived together for a month, and at this point in time, so many things are happening in the world. It's very nice to have each other.
My name is Christiana. I am a multimedia artist, I would say. I do mainly performance and performative installations. So I usually build a lot of things before I perform in it or before I have other performers performing for me. My work is usually deeply rooted in social political structures and situations that I kind of either have been through or present as a telling of a story and of a situation that is usually not discussed or repressed in many ways. I think the themes of my work cover a lot of problems, so to say. So, like misuse of power, representation, identity, but also a lot to do with immigration and how we deal with immigration in general, how we kind of like need to navigate a system and how we make use of a system or how we get lost in a system that doesn't particularly work with us, but sometimes it feels it works against us. As a person with migration background, but also as a woman, and all sorts of different directions of the intertwined complexities of that.
Maria Stamenkovic and I'm a performing artist, but generally I've been working a lot with performance art, let's say more than 10 years now. I come from theater as well as also from dance and self-taught visual art. And in my work, I usually work mainly with transformation, energy, catharsis, metamorphoses, and installation building work as well. I like very much the process, mixing multidisciplinary materials, work, collaborations, give a lot of emphasis on investigation as well, and work with the audience, very much so, which is what gives me such a pleasure doing performance art, because it's so raw and it asks a full-on attention and focus of overcoming the limits of your own mind, actually. And it teaches you an enormous amount of things about life in the meantime.
My name is Rubiani. I'm from Brazil, but based in UK. And my work is very rooted in performance, but also mixing performance sometimes with installations and drawings, painting, writing as well. And I like to create films and videos and photography.
Merhaba, ben Eşref. İstanbul'dan geliyorum. Ressamım aslen. Bunun yanında farklı materyallerle yaptığım çalışmalar var. Performans ve video çalışmalarım var.
Buraya geldiğimden beri hayvanlarla ilgili bir çalışma yapmak istiyordum. Bunun en önemli sebebi de Türkiye'de yaşanan hayvan katliamları. Geçen sene çıkan bir yasayla birlikte sokakta yaşayan hayvanlar, özellikle de köpekler sokaklardan toplanıp yerel yönetimlerce öldürülüyorlar. Bu yüzden aklımda sürekli bu vardı. Ayrıca Joseph Beuys üzerine düşünürken de onun hayvanlarla çok ilgili olduğunu biliyoruz. Hayvanlarla ilgili çok sayıda deseni var, hayvanlarla birlikte yaptığı performanslar var. Ve hayvanlarla ve insan dışı tüm doğayla diyalog kurmamız gerektiğini düşünüyor Beuys. Ben de Müziğin Moylant'a ilk girdiğimde bu yüzden ilk dikkatimi çeken şey müzenin etrafındaki doğal yaşam oldu. Orada su bir alan var ve orada yaşayan hayvanlar var, bitkiler var ve onlarla diyaloğa girebileceğim bir çalışma yapmak istedim ve onun üzerine çalışıyorum şu an.
My name is Virginia Mastroiannaki. I'm a Greek visual artist based in Athens. What I have in mind for the project for this summer is to work on the European Constitution, the text of the European Constitution, changing it a little bit and try to see it from a point of view that's not only a monetary accordance between the countries. I'm very interested for the different languages that it is written, so somehow for me it's very important to notice these identities that come from the different languages every time. In a more general point of view, I'm always still until now I'm very attracted from the idea of the understanding of the time continuum, if I may say. So quite often I'm working either on time or I use it as a tool, I can say. That's why also I think that I'm thinking quite often of durational or longer durational pieces in performance as well.
My name is Isaac Chongwai. I'm an artist working between Berlin and Hong Kong. I use different mediums such as like performance, video, installation, drawing, glass etching. And I'm very happy this time to be part of the residency program and also part of the projects that we will be working on the materials that Museum Schloss Moyland has here, the big archive and the collection. I'm also very happy this time to come again because actually I came already in 2023, also 2022 to do the research on Joseph Beuys. We produce an exhibition called The End of Growth, where I think one of the very significant work that you can see is me standing next to a standing basalt stone to match our height. So it's actually 5 different photograph works that you see and showing different heights of the stone as well as the different heights of the human body. While seeing it from the left to right, you also see that it's like a bit like the body is slowly shrinking. That also came from the idea like how Joseph Beuys was looking at basalt stone and the growing tree in his work 7,000 Oaks. He said that the stone, the basalt stone itself is the monument of the growing tree, while the tree will just keep growing, but then the stone won't. So it's like how it act as like a mark or like a certain time frame, kind of like the height of the stone. But what I was so interested in is also like the human body, like actually when we grow up and when we grow taller, but at some point we also shrink. We will be smaller, and then maybe but like at some point we also decompose. And so that's very much of the starting point of my research here for the residency. And at the moment we are doing site visits and talk to scholars. And from there, I believe that a durational performance will be conceived. And I think at the moment I don't have the concrete proposal. I'm still like developing the work, but I believe I'm also trying to figure out if there's elements of the installation and the performance that could come together as a response to our experiences here.
Hello, my name is Evan Williams. I'm a Canadian dancer.
And my name is Yan Jun Chin, but I go by John. I'm from Malaysia. I'm also a dancer working currently in Fausttheater Kaiserslautern, Germany.
I also work there. We've been working together for 4 years. And we're very excited to be here in the residency with MAI in dialogue with Joseph Beuys. Our plan, we're working from drawings of Joseph Beuys, who drew women in movement, and we're interested in turning these drawings into choreography.
Almost turning a picture alive and see how we can interpret it in our own unique perspective.
Within a long durational period, where the body will go through some sort of transformation and where the public can both experience a very private
intimate moment with the specific time they visit will be special just for them.
The contemporary history of the 1950s and 1960s certainly played an equally important role.
Yes, this is, how should I put it, the first stage of a very simple ecological action. That is, I believe that if all people plant trees intensively, planting trees, then planting trees would give them the right thought. Then they would know how pointless some protections are and how terrible many goods are that modern society produces.
Then they both begin to tremble, and you can feel how much effort it takes for them not to let go of the bow, and in particular, not to shoot the arrow under any circumstances.
Es war einfach so, dass jeder seinen Weg ging. Und das hat er unterstützt. Und das fand ich eigentlich am wichtigsten. Dass er das, was jeder lebte, auch unterstützte. Also ich war zum Beispiel verheiratet, hatte ein Kind und das war ihm sehr recht und er hat mich dann in diese Richtung gelenkt, dass ich Objekte, man machte damals in den 60er Jahren, anstatt traditioneller Bildhauerei, machte man vor allen Dingen Objekte und dass ich diese Objekte im Zusammenhang mit meinem Leben als verheiratete Frau und Hausfrau und Mutter machte. Das fand ich, ist mir natürlich damals nicht so aufgefallen, aber hinterher schon.